My fellow Burkina, today we rise not as beggars, but as producers, not as dependent, but as sovereign. We are feeding the world with our own hands. The historic deal to export 2 million tons of soybeans to Saudi Arabia is more than a trade agreement. It's a declaration of independence, dignity, and vision. It's a moment that marks the beginning of a new era for Burkina Faso, for Africa, and for every farmer whose hands are stained with the rich soil of our homeland. Picture it. Golden fields stretch beneath a blazing sun. Farmers stand proud beside overflowing sacks of soybeans. Children run through villages, their eyes filled with dreams as big as the sky. A land once labeled with struggle is now feeding a global powerhouse. This is not just Burkina Faso's moment. This is Africa's awakening. A deal that shakes the world. Burkina Faso has signed a $2.6 billion agreement with Saudi Arabia to export 2 million tons of soybeans grown entirely by Burkina farmers. Never before has an African country accomplished such a feat. This isn't aid. It's not charity. This is trade on our terms. It's a bold statement that Africa does not just survive, it leads. Saudi Arabia, rich in oil but facing food insecurity, turned to us, to Burkina Faso, for help. Why? Because we delivered. We produced. We showed what's possible when a nation dares to believe in itself. The power of soybeans. Why soybeans? Because they are green gold. They're a global staple used for food, oil, animal feed, and even biofuels. As the world population grows and climates change, demand for soybeans is skyrocketing. Burkina Faso saw an opportunity and seized it. In a single season, we produced 2.3 million tons of soybeans, enough to fill thousands of trucks and stretch supply lines across continents. Now, 2 million tons are headed to the Middle East. We didn't just grow crops, we grew hope. We grew power. We grew proof that our land can feed the world. A new chapter for Africa. For too long, Africa's story was written by outsiders. We were portrayed as poor, helpless, and dependent. But today, Burkina Faso is flipping the script. Our farmers are showing that Africa is not waiting for handouts. It's building the future. This deal is a wake-up call to every African nation. We don't need permission to succeed. The strength is already in our soil. The future is in our hands. The vision behind the victory. At the heart of this transformation stands a bold leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. From the beginning, he declared, Burkina Faso will feed itself and feed the world. Through the National Food Sovereignty Program, over 1.5 million hectares of land were transformed into productive farmland. Crops like millet, maize, and most importantly, soybeans, now grow in abundance. But this wasn't just a top-down initiative. Captain Traoré invested directly in the people, distributing seeds, fertilizers, and building irrigation systems. He encouraged cooperatives, empowering farmers to work together and share profits. He trusted Burkina farmers, not foreign corporations. And they delivered. Real people, real change. Captain Traoré is not a distant ruler. He's a leader who walks the fields. In the village of Koudougou, he once sat beneath a baobab tree with farmers, sharing millet porridge. One woman, Mariam, told him, "We've always worked the land, but no one believed in us. Now, with your help, we are feeding the world." His reply was simple. Your fields are Burkina Faso's strength. And he meant it. Leading Africa forward. Burkina Faso soybeans are non-GMO, grown with respect for the land and sustainability in mind. That makes them especially valuable in today's global market, as other nations grapple with climate change and disrupted supply chains. We are stepping forward as a reliable, eco-conscious producer. This isn't just about agriculture. This is about building a self-sufficient economy, creating jobs, retaining talent, and showing young people that the future doesn't lie abroad, it lies here. In Burkina Faso, our success is inspiring others. Mali, Chad, Niger, Mauritania countries, facing similar challenges, are watching. They too are realizing, if Burkina Faso can do it, so can we. We are becoming a beacon of hope, a leader in African food sovereignty and trade, a future written in our hands. This is just the beginning. With this success, Burkina Faso can move into even more industries, processing soybeans, exporting oil, creating biofuels. We can create entire supply chains and industries around our own products. Universities will teach agricultural science and agribusiness. Young people will see farming not as a struggle, but as a career of pride and purpose. The soybeans we grow today are more than crops. They are symbols, symbols of a nation rising, symbols of a continent waking up, symbols of a people refusing to be defined by limits placed on them by history. Burkina Faso is no longer asking for a seat at the table. We are building our own God, so let the world watch. Let them see what happens when a nation invests in its land, its people, and its vision. Because from the fields of Burkina Faso, a new Africa is growing, and it's ready to feed the world. Together, we rise, showing the world what we can do. This connection between leadership and the people has sparked a movement. Young Burkinab, who once dreamed of leaving for jobs in Europe or America, are now staying. They see Captain Traoré's vision and want to be part of it. Farmers who were once invisible to their governments now feel seen, respected, and essential to a national mission. Traoré's belief in his people has transformed Burkina Faso into a land of dreamers, builders, and leaders shaping their own future. At the heart of the revolution, the farmers. At the core of this story are the everyday heroes, Burkina farmers, in towns like Bobo-Dioulasso, Koudougou, and the outskirts of Ouagadougou. They've turned hardship into hope. Just a few years ago, many couldn't grow enough to feed their families. Droughts scorched their crops. Many relied on food aid to survive. Today, those same farmers are cultivating soybeans for the global market. Their fields are alive with purpose. Take Awa, a mother of 3 from a village near Bobo-Dioulasso. She used to grow millet and sorghum enough to scrape by, but never thrive. School fees, medicine, and emergencies loomed like storms. Then she joined a government-backed cooperative. They provided high-quality seeds, training, and a guarantee to buy her harvest at a fair price. Awa rose at dawn each day, tending her soybean crop, learning irrigation, and fighting through dry spells. When harvest came, her field was full more than she'd ever seen. She sold her soybeans, built a solid house, enrolled her kids in school, and bought a motorbike for the market. I used to pray for rain, Awa says, eyes shining. Now I pray for strength to keep farming. My soybeans feed families far away. Hers is one story among thousands, proof that Burkina Faso's farmers are turning soil into success, power in unity. The cooperatives are the engine behind this transformation. Instead of working in isolation, farmers now share tools, seeds, knowledge, and profits. Together, they sell in bulk, negotiate better deals, and gain stability. In Koudougou, one cooperative grew from 15 members to over 250. We used to sell to middlemen who cheated us, says Musa, a member. Now we sell directly to buyers. I've built a new room for my family and sent my kids to school. Our cooperative even bought a tractor. Women are leading this movement. Historically sidelined, women now form 40% of soybean farmers. In Bobo-Dioulasso, Fatima leads a cooperative of 60 women. They grow soybeans and reinvest in their community. We're not just farmers, Fatima says. We're builders. We're creating a future. Her group built a community center where women learn new skills and lift each other up. The deal that changed everything. This is not just any trade deal. It's a $2.6 billion game changer. Saudi Arabia, rich in oil but poor in arable land, faces a growing food challenge. Climate change and global supply shocks have pushed them to find reliable partners. Burkina Faso was ready. In this landmark agreement, Saudi Arabia will import 2 million tons of high-quality, non-GMO soybeans grown sustainably in Burkina Faso. These soybeans will be used for food, animal feed, and more. In return, Burkina Faso gains a guaranteed buyer for the next 5 years. Technology transfers, with Saudi experts helping local farmers. Investments in processing plants to add value at home. Infrastructure upgrades, roads, silos, railways to move crops efficiently. This isn't just business, it's partnership. Saudi Arabia sees Burkina Faso not as a supplier, but as a trusted ally. And Burkina Faso? It's stepping into global leadership, shaping its destiny through trade, not dependency. Breaking it down, what $2.6 billion means. The deal is backed by Saudi agricultural investment agencies, in partnership with Burkina Faso's ministries. Rail lines and upgraded ports will carry the soybeans overseas. These non-GMO crops are prized in global markets for their natural, sustainable profile. The agreement includes training in precision agriculture, a new soybean processing facility for oil and meal job creation through agro-industry, better roads and storage to improve logistics. The human impact. This isn't just economics, it's transformation on the ground. In villages once trapped by poverty, life is changing. Schools, clinics, and wells are being built from farmers' profits. Young people who once fled to cities or abroad are returning to farm with purpose. In Koudougou, one cooperative used its earnings to build a school. Another funded a health clinic. In Bobo-Dioulasso, a youth group launched a soybean snack business and bought solar panels for their homes. These aren't isolated successes. They represent a rising tide of dignity, independence, and hope. A new generation of leaders. Meet Issa, a young farmer outside Ouagadougou. He grew up watching his parents struggle. He planned to leave farming behind, but when he heard about the soybean program, he joined a cooperative. He was given seeds, training, and a shot. Now, Issa's fields are full. He's earning more than he ever dreamed. I thought farming was the past, he says. Now I see it's the future. I'm proud to feed the world. Others in his village are following suit, buying tools, smartphones, and motorbikes with their profits. They're young, ambitious, and connected. A new generation of farmers leading the way. Women are the backbone. In Koudougou, Salamata leads a women's cooperative that built a clean water system for the village. Our soybeans are our power, she says. We're building a better life for all of us. A beacon for the Sahel. Burkina Faso's triumph isn't just national, it's regional. The Sahel, stretching from Senegal to Sudan, and including nations like Mali and Niger, sees this moment as a signal. Self-reliance is possible. Leadership matters. Agriculture can be power. Burkina Faso has become more than a country. It's a model, a spark, a revolution in motion. For years, the Sahel has endured drought, conflict, and poverty. But today, a new era is emerging. Nations like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are joining forces to chart a different path, a path defined by unity, trade, and shared strength. These countries are forming an alliance not just to survive, but to thrive. Burkina Faso's groundbreaking soybean deal shows what happens when a country takes control of its own resources. Inspired by this, Mali is now expanding its livestock and grain exports to Asia and the Middle East. Niger is exploring rice markets. Together, these nations are sending a bold message to the world. We're not just suppliers of raw materials, we're producers. We're partners. This is the beginning of a powerful economic bloc that could reshape Africa's role on the global stage. But this alliance goes beyond trade. It's about independence. For too long, foreign powers dominated Africa's resources, treating countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger as sources to extract from, not invest in. That era is ending. These nations are building systems that serve their people. They are investing in agriculture, infrastructure, and education to generate long-term prosperity. Burkina Faso is leading by example, sharing its knowledge with neighbors, supporting Niger's rice farmers, and aiding Mali's livestock trade. Together, they are creating a regional network of innovation and cooperation, a model other African regions could follow. Imagine East or Southern Africa building similar alliances, competing on equal footing with global powers. The Sahel Alliance offers a glimpse of that future. Burkina Faso's soybean deal is more than just a contract. It's a message to every African nation. You don't have to wait to succeed. For decades, the world dictated Africa's economic destiny. Trade terms were set by the West. Global institutions like the IMF and World Bank handed out loans laced with harsh conditions. But now, Burkina Faso is writing a different story, one of self-reliance and strategic partnerships. And the world is watching. In Europe, media outlets called the deal unexpected. Analysts expressed disbelief at the scale and speed of Burkina Faso's production. Meanwhile, countries like China and India are taking notes. China has already sent delegations to study Burkina Faso's cooperative model. India is exploring its own soybean partnership. Even Brazil, a global soybean giant, has offered to train Burkina farmers in advanced techniques. In Africa, response is electric. Ghana, Togo, and Chad want to join a soybean export corridor using Ghana's ports and railways to reach international markets. Kenya and Ethiopia are studying Burkina Faso's model to apply it in their own agriculture systems. A regional trade network is forming, an African economy trading with itself and the world on its own terms. Reactions from abroad are mixed. Saudi officials praise Burkina Faso's reliability. This is a strategic partnership, said one Saudi minister. China sees a model to replicate. Indian agribusinesses see a new source of high-quality, affordable crops. Even Brazil, though a competitor, respects Burkina Faso's rise and wants to collaborate. But not everyone is comfortable. Some Western nations, long accustomed to shaping Africa's trade, are uneasy. They see their influence fading as Africa builds new ties with the East, and that's exactly why this moment matters. Burkina Faso is challenging the old order and helping create a new one where African nations hold the reins. Of course, challenges remain. Farming is never easy. Climate change continues to bring droughts and floods. Infrastructure gaps, like the need for cold storage and modern transport, must be addressed. And entering the global soybean market means competing with giants like the United States, Brazil, and Argentina. But Burkina Faso is prepared. The government has already launched Phase 2 of its plan, a soybean oil refinery in Koudougou to process crops locally, a biofuel research center in Ouagadougou, in partnership with India and Saudi Arabia, Africa's first soybean export bank to finance farmer cooperatives across the SHOCKS to fight climate change. They're promoting drought-resistant seeds and efficient irrigation. To reach markets reliably, Saudi-backed projects are building new roads, railways, and silos. To compete globally, Burkina Faso is training farmers, boosting yields, and leaning into its non-GMO, sustainable practices that appeal to eco-conscious buyers. Going up against global soybean giants is no small task. But Burkina Faso has key advantages. Its non-GMO soybeans meet rising demand for natural, chemical-free food. Its sustainable practices align with green market priorities. Its lower production costs Ensure competitive pricing. The soybean export. Bank will allow farmers to expand and strengthen their cooperatives, ensuring the industry's resilience and growth. But make no mistake, this movement isn't just about soybeans or Burkina Faso. It's about Africa, taking control of its economic destiny. For too long, Africa's gold, oil, and crops were exported, raw while others made billions processing them. Burkina Faso is ending that cycle. It's growing soybeans and will soon produce oil, feed, and fuel, adding value at home and keeping wealth within its borders. This deal proves that Africa can thrive without handouts or loans. While global institutions continue to push austerity, Burkina Faso is striking deals rooted in equity, dignity, and partnership. Saudi Arabia, China, and India aren't demanding debt. They're offering collaboration. Africa's age of dependency is ending. The $2.60 billion generated by this deal wasn't borrowed. It was earned by farmers. That money will stay in Burkina Faso, building schools, hospitals, roads, and dreams. And the rest of Africa is taking note. Imagine Nigeria reinvesting its oil wealth in agriculture. Kenya branding its tea and coffee. Globally, South Africa processing its own minerals. Burkina Faso proves it can be done. To the world, it's a wake-up call. To Africa, it's a call to action. Unite, produce, trade smart. Burkina Faso is already building a regional trade network with Mali, Ghana, Togo, and Chad. That network could grow, forming a powerful economic bloc that rivals global powers. An Africa that shares its resources, knowledge, and markets is within reach, and Burkina Faso is leading the charge. As this chapter closes, another begins. A soybean deal is just the start. More crops, more factories, more partnerships are on the horizon. The Koudougou refinery will create jobs. The Ouagadougou biofuel hub will push green innovation. The Export Bank will fund farmers across the Sahel.